People always, people always want to know, what if Pac never got killed? What if he survived those bullets? What would have happened? I tell you what would have happened. Nothing would have changed as far as the rap game. The rap game would have been the same as if Pac was alive or dead. I'll tell you why. First of all, you got to know Pac was out on bail at that time, and when he made the dumb decision to go over there and beat up Orlando Anderson, he just violated his probation, along with Suge Knight as well, violated his probation, and Suge Knight got sent up the river. What, 5 to 6 years? Same way it would have been with Pac. Nobody bailed Suge Knight out. Nobody would have bailed Pac out. Pac would have been back. No, he probably wouldn't have had no bail. Pac would have did 5 to 6 years. He would have did probably the same amount of time as Suge Knight did. About 5 to 6 years. Suge Knight didn't get out till what, 2002, 2003? Pac would have probably got out around that time. And during this time, I think that's the reason why Pac didn't want to live. Because Pac could have survived if he wanted to. The man lived for 7 days. And I remember reading the news report. Now, I remember watching the news report saying the doctor said he was going to make it. He was going to pull through. And then all of a sudden, on the 7th day, Pac died. I don't know if they did surgery. I don't know if it was after surgery he died or during surgery. But anyway, he died. And if he wanted to live, he could have lived. But Pac didn't want to live. He didn't want to face prison time. If you listen to his songs, Troublesome, he talk about it. Talk about he'd rather die than be in prison. And you can't blame him. And, I used to think that way too. I probably still think that way. I don't think about it. But the rap game would have continued if Pac stayed alive. Pac would have been in prison. And him and Suge, I think him and Suge would have fell out. Because Suge would have probably been resenting Tupac. Even though it was Suge Knight's fault, nobody pulled the gun and Suge Knight hit and told him to go over there and help Pac beat up Orlando Anderson. But Suge probably would have been regretting the fact of being involved with Tupac. Because Suge Knight lost his multi-million-dollar company. Can't run a company in jail, in prison. So Suge Knight lost everything trying to follow Tupac. Just stupid shit. And I remember when Pac said he would throw away everything just to show a motherfucker that he means business. I mean, just the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. Pac said, now I love Pac to death, but you got to criticize his ass too, because he was double-minded. I think Pac had a mental problem. I really do think Pac had a mental problem. Maybe he had a slight bipolar. His sister has bipolar syndrome, and she suffered from depression. I think Pac definitely had a mental issue. I think he had a mental issue because if you talk to anybody that was involved with Pac, they would all tell you he was double-minded. In one instance, he would be this way, and then the next instant, in the quick of a flash, he would totally go the opposite. So, and you see, and a lot of people talked about that. His former manager talked about it, how he couldn't deal with Tupac's dual personality. He was double-minded now, and that's very frustrating. Very weird to deal with. And Pac probably had a mental issue. You have to have a fucking mental issue. You go over there, beat up somebody without even thinking about, probation, you on probation. It just ridiculous. It's stupid. And it just disappoints me on how smart he was for him to act so stupid and do something so damn reckless. Just what? Why? Why? Suge Knight didn't want you to do that. Nobody wanted you to do that. I know we know Pac had a death wish. He had a death wish, but then you go, why? Why would you have a death wish? You have no reason. You have no justification in your death wish. I mean, the man had mental issues. Maybe he had a slight bipolar syndrome type. He had schizophrenic. I don't know. It was something wrong. All the screws was not clicking in Tupac's head. I guarantee you that. All the screws was not clicking. And yeah, I understand he was young. Yeah. But at 25, you should be mature. At that time, you should have more maturity. You should have some damn common sense at this time. It's not a young 25 is like, that's the time when your mind should be fully developed, man. But like I said, his sister suffered from bipolar, and some of that stuff passed on. Some of that stuff Pac picked up, man. I think his mama was smoking crack when she was pregnant with him. She was smoking something. I got her book. I read Finney's book. She was smoking weed or drugs. She was doing some type of drugs with Pac. And that might have attributed to Pac's mental mind state. But as far as if Pac would have lived, he would have went to prison. Him and Suge probably would have got off on bad terms. They probably would have ended up on bad terms. Snoop would have still went to No Limit. No Limit would have came in and blowed up. So if Pac lived, Biggie most likely would have lived. And Biggie would have been the biggest thing on Now, let's just say if Biggie was to live, I don't think Jay-Z would have been as big if Biggie kept living. If Pac was alive, I don't think DMX or Ja Rule would have came out. Let's say I think probably, if they would have came out, everybody would have been probably would have been hitting. They probably would have been disappointed. I mean, they probably would have been criticizing DMX, saying, "Oh, you want to be Pac? Look, they got a Pac lookalike right here. Look, he taking Pac's image and likeness. Though DMX has his own unique rap style, he's taking Pac's image and likeness and the sex appeal and all that. And DMX career probably wouldn't have lasted. Ja Rule career probably wouldn't have lasted. Ja Rule career didn't last anyway. 50 Cent career probably wouldn't have blowed up the way it did, on the fact that his career blew up on the fact that he got shot 9 times or 5 times or whatever, how many times it was. But that was built off Tupac's legacy. The hype of his career was built up off Tupac, so as far as being shot, But a lot of these rappers probably would have still had careers, but it probably would have been on a less a smaller scale. Now, when Pac would have got out of prison, he would have came back harder than ever and just killed it. And all these rappers wouldn't have career. He would just kill it. He would just killed it. I mean, he would have just took over the rap game. 5 to 7 years, a long time to be in prison. Pac didn't want to go to prison, so he killed himself. I mean, he could have pulled through if he wanted to. So he didn't want to pull through. He pretty much committed suicide on that table, in that hospital, because he could have, if you stayed alive for 7 days, man, you could have made it. But Pac had a death wish, man. even though he was a genius, sometimes, geniuses go crazy. And I gotta go, y'all. That's the end. Geniuses go crazy a lot of times. Pac was a genius. You can just tell by by what he spoke of in his lyrics. No rapper can compare to Tupac. The way he spoke in his lyrics about his death, and to actually write about his death so in detail before he died. He pretty much told you how he gonna die, the way he gonna die, and when he died. And everything has come true. That's why I say Tupac is a prophet. And he spoke on other things too about what's gonna happen in the future, pertaining to the American people, the government. And Pac was just a prophetic person, and a crazy genius too, and was probably going insane because he contradicted. Seems like he contradicted the principles that he wanted to stand for. Being reckless, making stupid decisions is like contradictory to the intelligence of him. So you're getting a double-minded personality, and a person like that is kind of is crazy. There's something's not right. Peace out. I gotta go.